call the Shadow Home Secretary, Mr James Cleverly.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I also thank the Home Secretary for advance sight of her statement and for the recent Privy Council briefing that I received from her. I will start off by saying I very much welcome what she's put forward today. I agree with almost all of it and disagree with almost none of it. Because as a society, we demand that our firearms officers put themselves in dangerous and difficult situations to protect others. Every firearms officer in the UK is a volunteer, and we rightly value the fact that we have a predominantly unarmed police force here in the UK, but we do, of course, need a cadre of armed police officers across the country. I've had the privilege of visiting the Police Firearms Training Centre in Gravesend, and I have seen firsthand just how rigorous that firearms training regime is, not just in marksmanship, but also in the use of judgment. Split-second, life or death decisions have to be made, often in circumstances where the risk picture is incomplete, and often in circumstances where the cost of not acting is considerably more severe than the cost of acting. And in all of the debate and conversation we have around the police use of force, this fundamental truth should be in the forefront of our minds. As the Right Honourable Lady has said, we rightly expect that all officers at all times act with restraint and professionalism. But we cannot allow circumstances to be created where officers are disincentivised from being decisive or become unwilling to take the right action for fear of trial by media or for fear of a long period of suspension under investigation. When my party was in government, and I am grateful for the Home Secretary acknowledging this in her statement, we started under my predecessors and led predominantly by my right honourable friend, the member for Croydon South. We initiated a review into the use of force by police officers and the accountability regime. I am very grateful, genuinely grateful, that under her leadership that is continuing. Because as she rightly says, giving confidence to police officers so that they can act in accordance with their training, but that they will not be penalised for taking those actions is absolutely key. And ensuring simultaneously that the public have confidence that police officers still have an appropriate accountability framework is equally as important. And she made the point that both of those aims are being pursued in the accountability review that she is taking forward. And the commitment that these investigations will be done more speedily is key. And specifically, that she will continue with our proposals to allow the IOPC to refer cases to the CPS earlier is important, because prolonged periods of uncertainty undermines the confidence both of police officers and the public that they serve. And I am very much pleased to see the government is continuing in our reforms to ensure that when police officers act in accordance with their training and in the line of duty, that the presumption is that they will not be held to a lower threshold for prosecutions than members of the general public. And I would ask her to seriously consider that training in these roles forms a legitimate part of the defence of officers if and when criminal prosecutions are brought forward. And I'm particularly pleased, and I very much welcome the additional move to introduce the presumption of anonymity for firearms officers subject to criminal trial following a shooting. We now know that Chris Cabba was involved with a violent gang, and that Sergeant Blake and his family had, and indeed still have, a well-founded fear of violent reprisals. And that fear was amplified when Sergeant Blake's name was put in the public domain. Can I ask the Right Honourable Lady, in light of the review by Dr. Gillian Fairfield, which further of her recommendations she is minded to take forward? And will she recognise, in the era of social media, that all people of public profile, including members of this House, should be very thoughtful and careful about making public statements when facts are unknown or contested? Because the police should know instinctively that they will have the backing of both their chain of command and and politicians involved in their governance at all levels when they do the right thing at our behest, and they will be backed by their chain of command even if those actions are not popular or convenient, because we have seen too often police leadership bend to inappropriate levels of public pressure. So in conclusion, Madam Deputy Speaker, I welcome this statement from the Home Secretary today and her commitment to take forward the reforms of the Police Accountability Review. And we will, of course, on this side of the House, my benches, we will work constructively with her to ensure the appropriate balance is struck to reinforce confidence in policing and of policing.